So we're gonna get started, guys. Welcome back. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I know we did. It is Monday the 17th, and we are hopefully looking alive and ready to hit the ground running for this week. I want to start off by saying how great and how successful the open house that I had this weekend on Saturday. Thank you to all the agents who came out and for all the leads that we got. So I think we had a total of about, within 4 or 5 hours, had about 15 or 16 groups of people kind of come in and look at the house and talk. And I was honestly really surprised. A lot of people were wearing masks and used some of the hand sanitizer I left at the door, but majority of people were happy to be there, happy to keep looking, and a lot of people are really starting to look right now, especially since interest rates are so low. Um, People are really looking to get into homes and ready to start shopping. So I wanted to give a big shout out to that. Guys, do open houses. If whenever I host another one, I should be hosting another one, not this weekend, but the following weekend. And I'll keep y'all up to date as well. I'd love to have some more agents come out and just take on those leads. If they come in the door, you help them out. I'll teach you how to talk to them, convert them, move them over, get them to sign the sign-in sheet, because I know a lot of people don't like doing that. But just easy things to say. The more information you help out and more information you give me, the better it helps me sell this home, and blah, blah, blah. And then they're typically doing you a favor, and people like doing favors for people, right? So it helps. But other than that, we had a great weekend, and I hope y'all did too. So for the main portion of today's conference call, we wanted to talk about everything that's kind of we're seeing right now deal-wise. And a lot of it is having to do with delays. I believe majority of the deals that are supposed to be closing are having to get pushed back a day to a week, maybe even 2 weeks. And why is that? So right now, I know a lot of people are refining, they're purchasing still, they're doing a lot of things. So our lenders are overworked, our appraisers are overworked, the surveyors are overworked, and everybody's just kind of going crazy, which is an awesome problem to have, right? But it also makes it pretty hard to be competitive in this market when we know, as the buyer side, we know appraisals are coming back late. We know we're going to need more time, but we don't want to convey that to the seller in our initial offer, right? Every time we want to submit an offer, we want it to be the fastest, closest possible in the securest amount of dates. But right now we're seeing, and how do we convey that to the seller, right? How do we convey that, hey, things are moving slower. I know y'all are seeing it, but at the same time, everybody's only looking for that shortest turnaround time frame. So let's set those times and those precedents first off with our clients, our buyers, and making sure that, hey, talk to the lender. Have we been more fully qualified? We've kind of been searching for houses for a month to 2 months. And has the lender really tried to get all the documentation, get the paperwork in, get everything they need from that buyer before we even go under contract? So that's the first question that we should be asking our buyers and their lenders is, hey, where are we on their file? Do we have their W-2s? Do we have their tax returns? Do we have everything? Are they only pre-qualified, or can we get them qualified while we're still looking for the house, right, guys? Because if we're only pre-qualified and then we're going into the contract, they don't have any of their W-2s, they don't have any of their tax returns, they don't have any of their pay stubs, whatever the case may be. They're only doing a full soft pre-qualification, not a full underwriting and a full qualification. So if we can do that, we will be ahead of the game, and we can already start ordering appraisals and doing all that stuff in the immediacy, because we already know our buyers are ready to go. The second thing is appraisals, right? Those are coming in longer and longer turnaround times. So again, get with our lenders and let them know, hey, this is the house we plan on doing. Let's order the appraisal, but order it a day to 2 days after we get out of option period.
So can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
What Manny Akian, or maybe it was Donnie. I think it was Donnie, actually, sorry, with Legacy Mutual. A couple weeks ago, he was saying that as soon as you go in under contract with someone and you're representing the buyer, you can go ahead, at least with Legacy Mutual, it should work with other mortgage companies. You can go ahead and place the order for the appraisal, but they won't order it until after you're out of option, because that's ultimately what you want to wait for. But what they do is they'll put it in the queue to go ahead and be ordered, so that when it's time to actually order it that day after option, they can go ahead and do it. So I talked to your lender about that, see if they can put it in the queue to order it as soon as option is over.
Sure. Or don't have to wait till option, right? If we've been quick and we have our inspection report done, you know, we called, thankfully our inspector was available the next day, and we still have another 5 or 6 days left on our option, just say, hey, lender, we're good to go. You know, we already negotiated the repairs, we've already done everything we needed to do, and we're ready to move forward. So can you please order it even before option's over? Don't wait for that cue point, right? Let's be a little bit ahead of the game, because we know right now appraisals are taking 2 to 3 weeks. I know typically it's 2 weeks, but now we're seeing 3 weeks and even 4 weeks out. So if you're already 10 days into the contract for a 30-day close, and we need 14 days, 15 days, and now we're seeing even longer than that to get the appraisal back, we're going to have to be delayed, especially if our clients, again, haven't been fully qualified before even getting into this deal. So making sure that your timings and everything look good. I know lately we've been trying to push everybody to 30 days, but our selling agents are still saying, well, we want 21 days to get that financing solidified and finished. But we're seeing as buyers agents that it's not happening, but we need to get these deals for our clients. So let's continue with that to keep the 21 days as long as you can. If you're in a non-multiple offer situation, shoot for the 30, right? Go and put your client's needs up front first. But if we are in those multiple offer situations and we need to get things done a little bit quicker, let's try and reduce it to that minimum of 21 days. And then just really hurry our lenders, and making sure that our lenders, especially if you're in that price point, between like 120 upwards even to 250 to 260, let's talk to our lenders before we even find a house. Hey, have you pulled their credits? Or obviously they pulled credit, but have you gotten all the documentation you need to fully underwrite and qualify them while we're shopping? Because it is the worst thing to do is wait, and then 3 weeks down the line, oh, you know, we found something on their credit report that what didn't show up on our soft pool, and now we can't close the deal. So then that's happened, I think, twice already in the past couple months. You know, they get to the very, very end, and then they want to start doing all the hard leg work, and then we end up killing the deal. So let's talk to those lenders, making sure what they need up front. Communicate, very, very much so. And then what else is causing delays right now? Surveyors. So surveys, making sure upfront. I know surveys probably one of the most overlooked things, and everybody's just waiting for the title company. Title is going to order it. I don't need to worry about it. You know, it says in the contract that we have to get it done. Right now, title companies are overbooked. They're missing line items. They're missing concessions. They're missing a lot of stuff, honestly.
And honestly, some title companies just are not that good.
Yeah, that as well.
I just dealt with one where they just were terrible. So don't expect them to always just know what to do and do it. You have to stay on top of them. So.
Correct. So if you are closing with a smaller title company that you really don't hear much about, please be on top of them. Make sure they're ordering the surveys, they're ordering the documents, everything that needs the HOA documents, because they're going to be the ones typically that wait for the agents to queue them, because they're a very reactive group versus your larger Alamo, First American, Chicago, Capital, that already have these processes in play. Okay, order this, order that,
but
blah, blah,
still
blah.
Be on top of them as well.
Of course, because people make mistakes. People don't do things. And then also some companies are guidelined that I have to have approval before being able to move anything, right? I need them to tell me first, and they're not going to say, hey, do you need this from me? So let's make sure that surveys are ordered day one, right? If we don't have a survey, we know we don't have a survey. So let's get that ordered. Text the agent other than that, or the other listing side or selling side, whoever's responsible for it, to say, hey, you know, if we don't have it, let's just please order it, so we're not waiting towards the end of the contract to then order those things, because that is probably one of the most easiest things that is overlooked. Everybody thinks we're good, and then we get to closing table and there's no survey, and then we have to extend another week. So that's huge. Secondly, or thirdly, what else? So we already talked about the appraisal, we talked about the survey, and then we have what's it called? I'm missing one.
I don't know.
I'm missing one.
Have you talked about leasebacks and whatnot? And
I was going
non-refundables?
there, but we wanted to talk about the reason why we were delaying to then need a lease back. But anyways, it'll come to me later. So whenever we do have a delay and now the buyer side or the selling side has to either lease back the property or move into the property prior to closing, right? So that is the hardest part, is you want to get the deal done, but you also don't want to risk having the house occupied because now you have a tenant. For some reason, if anything happens, you now have a tenant in your house that if it doesn't go through, now you're having to fight through that, get them evicted, and then put your house back on the market. So
that's assuming them want to move in.
Assuming they want to move early, yeah. I mean, that they don't have a place to go, they sold their house, they have to move in. So depending on that, it's really situational. And we want to take those into high consideration because the worst thing we can do, and it has happened already, is a buyer moved in early. They were having problems closing. The lender guaranteed us we were going to close, but it was an iffy closing, right? So we decided to, or the agent decided to let them move in. And now the deal's falling apart, and now they have tenants, and now they can't leave. And now the seller wants to go back on the market and go on, but they have tenants, and it's creating an issue. So we really need to make sure and talk to our lenders, whether you're on the buying side or the selling side, for your lease back. So if you're trying to get, if you're the selling agent or the listing agent, and you're wanting and thinking about allowing the buyer to move in prior to, we need to make sure, one, we have either non-refundable earnest money deposits that say, hey, if for any reason we don't close, this is my money guaranteed. Because you are taking that risk, your seller is taking that risk, that they're then going to have to go pretty much go to court, go to the and file for evictions, because technically you do have a tenant. You're going to end up having a holdover tenant, and it's going to cost you money to get them out, plus the time that you're having to go off market. So one, non-refundables I would highly recommend. Two, making sure you do get a deposit, because at the end of the day, if something happens, you want that money. If they get disgruntled, they get upset, then they break something, you have some cash on hand to get that done. And then also just really getting with that lender and making sure that they are solid buyers, right? We don't want to ever allow a buyer to move into the house that is on a shady limb or a sketchy limb that, oh, we think we've already extended twice and we're gonna get it this time. And I'd rather just say no. Let's figure this out before, because that's one that's going to push the lender even harder to get this deal done sooner, because now they know, oh, these people have nowhere to go, so I need to get this deal funded. If we then allow that lender to have more time, oh, they already moved in, I can slow down a bit and we can get this thing done, in some time. We don't want that. We want these things closed, because at the end of the day, we are representing the seller, and the seller is our bread and butter, right? We want to make sure that they are happy and taken care of because they want to refer you. Last thing we want is for them to say, oh, well, this agent so-and-so with the DAP Realty Group let these buyers move in. They suckered me into letting them move in, and then now we're not even closing, and now I have a tenant that I have to pay for to get out, and now there's this whole shabacle. So please be aware and be weary of that. On the selling side, if your seller has to lease back the property after the closing, which is a great thing, right? Just making sure that, one, we're setting the proper day rate and you get paid for that. But that's typically not a huge issue, and it's a much better issue to be in, is having to getting
Leslie's in that issue.
Yeah, Leslie's in that issue right now. It's letting the buyer or letting the sellers lease back the property. Not a huge deal, dependent on your buyer, right? So everybody understands it takes kind of some time to move out and move in. So just be cordial, be happy, and make those things easier transactions and make them work. But the main problem with that is letting your buyers move into your seller's house. Plus your seller is going to then have to, get an additional insurance rider for letting those people move in, because your insurance doesn't cover tenants when you have a homeowner's policy. So when you're allowing these buyers to move in prematurely, you're now having a tenant. So if for some reason something blows up, the house sets on fire, whatever the case may be, and you had tenants in there, you may not be covered. So please make sure that you advise your sellers, hey, if we do let these buyers move in early, we need to make sure that we're calling our insurance companies and setting up an insurance rider for tenants, because that can really save you big time on the long run.
It's really just about protecting your client, having that fiduciary duty to your client. making sure that they're taken care of, that you're communicating with them, that you're setting those expectations, and that you're that information hub that they'll go to if they have any questions. Just communicate with them. Yeah.
Okay. And now I remember the other reason why you will delay your contracts, and that is appraisal. So appraisal and it coming in low. So therefore, we're having to take time to, one, dispute it, because the seller's always going to say, let's dispute it. Let's find out if we can get more money for it. And most of the time it's not, because you're pretty much telling that appraiser, hey, you did your job wrong. This is why I think you did your job wrong. And I need a higher valuation. And probably 80% of the time that appraiser is going to be like, I didn't do my job wrong. He may have, but he's not going to admit to it, because it's the same appraiser that's going to go back out there or talk to you about why I valued the house the way I valued it. Typically, they're not going to go back on what they did unless you find an extraordinary comp that he just somehow missed, right? Because typically you fill out the rebuttal form and then you list all the comps that you feel meet your requirements and your price. And then he's going to come back and tell you why you're wrong, and you're going to tell it. So it's just going to kind of be a pissing contest at that point. So that in itself will take roughly 3 to even 7 days. It'll give you an additional week almost of just trying to rebuttal that, because it has to go through the lender then has to submit it to the appraisal, it has to go through the channel. So it takes time when trying to do that. So the best solution you can is just find the quickest route possible to just get the seller to either reduce, or we'll reduce concessions, we'll reduce a home warranty, we'll try to get the lender to pick up a title policy. Any way we can to mitigate the sellers losing more money, let's try and find a way before fighting and delaying the contract, depending on where people have to be at certain times. And then that'll just get the deal done faster, get you guys paid faster, everybody gets in the house faster. But if we do have to do that, just making sure your timings are correct, right? Just because we lost the appraisal and the appraisal came back low, yes, we get our financing and our earnest money back for FHA and VA already with the third-party financing addendum. If we have a conventional offer, we need to make sure that we're doing the buyer's right to terminate due to lender's appraisal. And that will only be in effect within that timing. So when everybody is aware and go, oh, well, we're protected because we have a financing addendum. You're not protected with the termination or the right to terminate with the buyer's appraisal for conventional, because that's on a time frame. Whereas the FHA and VA is, if it doesn't hit, then you don't have to close and you get your money back. Whereas the other one, it's based on timing. So even if you lose, or if you go and appraise below what you set it at on that addendum, if you're after that time frame, you don't get your money back. You need to make sure that those timings are set. So if we set 21 days and we're on day 20 and we haven't got that appraisal back yet, we need to make sure that we're extending that date for that addendum. Whereas the third-party financing addendum, you are okay. If it does come in low, you still get your earnest money back. But we need to make sure that if you're trying to claim or trying to back out of a deal, that for the reason your buyer didn't qualify based off of their income, their credit, their personal is that 21 days on the third-party financing. So we need to make sure that. But if you pass that on the third-party financing addendum, you still have that out if you do a miss on appraisal. But the buyer's right to terminate due to lender's appraisal, you do not. If you pass that time frame and the appraisal still comes in low, you lose your money. So make sure that you are aware of that for conventional loans, because that will get you in a sticky situation. Don't rely that, oh, I have the same rights as I do on that third party. You could potentially lose that earnest money. So that was the third reason why typically deals get delayed. And then also, there's always circumstances. The buyer still hasn't given me the documentation I need. Underwriter keeps kicking it back to us. And that's one of the tall tale signs of we're having issues, right? If underwriting keeps kicking back the file because we need more documents, let's find out that first before ever doing a lease back. And that is that key. And if we want to continue, or they have to continue, start getting non-refundable deposits. I want at least 2 months worth of rent for a non-refundable, because who knows how long I'm going to have you guys. If we're going to close, great. We can still get that money and put it towards closing. But if not, and you can't give me 2 months worth of non-refundables, to put into escrow, not in a check or anything. Put it into escrow. It'll still go towards the house, so it's still qualified as income and for the down payment. But if they can't, then that's another sign that that's not a very qualified buyer, and we don't want to put our sellers' houses at risk for a tenant holdover. So that is very, very important, guys, because that can get into a pretty ugly situation really, really quickly. Other than that, I mean, I see great in the market right now. The market has been moving. Our agents, you guys have been producing. The new construction side for Sherry, she's already picked up more projects and more clients, and people are just really, really excited to get into homes, capitalize on these low interest rates. And San Antonio, like I think I said last week, is just super strong and super prime to continue with whatever economy is happening right now, because we have so much telecommunication. I was reading an article about how San Francisco is going to become a dead zone pretty soon because it's just so expensive and so high. But all these tech places like Google, Amazon, Hulu, I mean, all the tech places are hiring online. They don't need to go into these large campuses. They don't need to go anywhere. So these people are moving to more secluded areas and more cheaper areas that they don't have to be down the street from their work anymore because everybody's going telecom. And San Antonio actually has been on the forefront of 5G as well as just the fiber connectics and just like tech hub. So San Antonio has been, I think 2015 was our like tech initiative to get like fiber connected, to get Wi-Fi pretty much throughout the city. Tons and tons of development happening around the city up towards Austin. I think Tesla's also one of those big players that may be coming down to the San Antonio area. So there's tons and tons of movement coming down here. Our cost of living is cheap. It's only going to go up. So for you guys that own homes, your taxes are going to go up, but at the same time, your business should also be increasing a lot because of the influx that is coming. And we've been probably one of the fastest growing cities for the past 4 years running now. And it's not going to stop. So, I mean, we probably have a good another 5 to 8 years of just constant growth, depending on how the rest of the economy moves, right? And how the telecommunications are going to keep growing, which I feel it's only going to keep growing. My nephew started first day of school today, and they're next door on their kitchen table. So it's kind of crazy to think about. But people need more homes. People need to be at home. They need to be building a home. So that brings me to my other point, is that now we don't really have that time crunch of June to August anymore for kids to go back to school. Kids can go to school anywhere now. They can go from their own home, from their apartment, wherever they are. So there's not that huge time crunch that we have to find a house within this time frame. So that kind of extends throughout the year now. So kids can be mobile, kids can move, and it's only going to take us maybe a day or 2 days to get that thing done. So they're not having to move districts. They're not having to do all this because they're not going to find, the schools really aren't going to find out an address change unless you submit a new light bill for the year. And then at that point, you've kind of made that transition and you can keep doing it. So that was one take that I thought about this morning, was that 3 month, 4 month time gap of just crunch time is kind of now being extended, and we can find buyers throughout the year or sellers throughout the year.
It's not so fixated on finding something for school.
Correct.
Anymore.
Which is really, really cool. In a sense. So that's a positive within all the negatives, right? Especially for you guys as agents. But we don't have any kids, so I don't know how that's going to tolerate our play into our lives here shortly. So we'll see. I don't know. But other than that, guys, how is everything, Ms. Sherry? How is everything going with you? How is the projects and everything going?
I have submitted our plans to an architect to just have some revisions. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I get back, I'll touch base with them today. And as soon as we get that back, we start sending it all to, the electric company and the water company and the architect company. Yeah. And just got to get the timelines to give to the Wheats. And then Rudy and I met on Friday to start picking out materials to submit 3 different kinds of materials for, different 3 different kinds: cabinet, countertops, and flooring. So that's what we really like to do. But
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
that, I have a question on it's a USDA
Uh-huh.
loan. I had a potential client. She wants to, now she has 80,000 that she wants to buy a lot.
Okay.
Can you, I mean, you can purchase a vacant lot in USDA, right? With that.
With that loan, you're saying?
Yeah.
So typically what for that you would need a house. You couldn't really buy land with
That's
with
what I thought. I was going to start researching it today, but I thought I'd just ask at the
There
meeting.
are other ones. There's a Texas vet land program or like other
Right.
land programs, but not USDA. USDA is typically for residential homes.
Right, that's what I thought. So I was getting ready to send her an email this morning to clarify that, but I thought
Yeah.
I'd wait. and ask.
USDA, that's the main initiative. It's like an FHA or VA government backed.
Right.
They're incentivizing people to get into homes at an affordable price.
Okay.
So
All right.
vacant land would more likely can be considered investment. So that's not really the forte for that product.
Yeah, they want them to move out to the rural and have a home.
Exactly.
My other question is OpCity for
Uh-huh.
lead. I get a notification and I'm within seconds, I'm trying to accept it. And when I get it, it's already gone.
Yeah.
Is there any other software or platform that we can use to get some leads besides,
So
I
that-
just don't have any leads.
Yeah, so that's one thing I've also been looking into, is now that kind of the company's becoming a little bit more healthier and moving forward. I've been really wanting to find some sort of platform to get leads, give them to you guys, get y'all more productive, and all of that. So I am doing some research into those things. I don't have a straight answer just yet, but there's bold leads, there's on-time leads, there's tons and tons of other sources, but I'm trying to find the one that would probably suit us the best or suit you individuals the best. That way you guys can monitor those leads yourself instead of, hey, just getting them from me and whatnot. Y'all can really nurture and do those things. So I'm trying to find a good platform that has that, and kind of ties in all those key elements for you agents, as well as whatever structure we need to do.
Yeah, so it's something that we're definitely going to be implementing.
Okay. One last question on that. Has anybody tried to use that private MLS listing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've looked at it, but I mean, Ms. Sherry is really the one that
I have my house on it, but I haven't gotten any interest on it. So I'm gonna be moving my house to MLS.
Real market.
Yeah, public.
I think it's because with those you can't really send them to your clients, and if you can't send them to your clients, then there's really no point for them. I mean, it's kind of, I can't get the information out. I know it's there, but I really can't send it to my client. So it's like, I don't know.
It's just limited
this
with
weird
exposure.
limbo.
Yeah, it just goes to brokers and agents. But if you have like a sign in your yard and somebody drives by and tries to find it on Zillow, they're not going to find it, and then they'll have to get an agent. And a lot of people who are just driving around looking, but they could call. But I do have a sign out front.
Good.
But
Yeah. Have you been getting some calls?
no, I just had mainly I'm getting leads off of Garden Ridge because it's under contract and people want the top acres over there.
Yeah.
And I got another house up here that's selling. She's got 6 acres right at top of the hill. I'm working with them. Well, I'm trying, but they have their own realtor, but she keeps calling me and I go up there and give her ideas on the remodel that they're doing.
Yeah. Well, the remodel, but at the same time, if you really want
I mean, she's a neighbor, so
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Cool.
But I'd like to get that listing because it's
Yeah.
going to be a good listing.
Hey, I mean, hey, for all this time and effort, I'd really love to help you out. I understand you working with somebody, but do we see them here?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I've just been the good neighbor, but I mean, and I like them, but you're right. I need to be more like a little more assertive. It just goes against my nature.
I know. It's the main thing, but we gotta ASK at a GET, right? We can never just assume that we gotta ask for things, right? We ask the universe,
Right.
we ask the universe for what we want, and it will provide. So we gotta ask people for what we want, right? She didn't become my girlfriend because I didn't ask her to be my girlfriend, right? She became, right? I had to ask her, right? Hopefully more later on down the line. But
Yeah, one of the things my mom always told me, and I just keep forgetting, is she said, just ask. All they can do is say no.
Exactly. Awesome. Well,
They
Miss,
got me through a lot of doors, but I don't know why I've been so hesitant. This industry, it's
it's
like,
got
'cause
to
everybody has like 100 agents that they know,
Of course, right? But what differentiates you? I mean, you have that background, you have the knowledge for design, you have the knowledge for construction, you have the knowledge for everything in the business, right? So who are you going to go to when we're needing to negotiate repairs? And I have my guys, I have my people. We can do everything you need to do in a one-stop shop.
I think something that I've noticed that also differentiates you is just being your authentic self. I say that about him all the time. I'm like, people like you because you're so authentic, and you're not that typical salesperson. People really, if you let people see who you are as a person and they can tell that you genuinely care, and then I think that's something that they remember the most.
Yeah, it speaks volumes.
For sure.
Okay.
Cool.
Which you were great at, so.
Awesome. Well, Miss Leslie, how about you? How's everything going?
Everything is good. Nothing new. Still.
Good.
We moved into our own personal home. So
Yes.
that's exciting. Yes, we're here now.
Yay.
But other than that, nothing. Just waiting and waiting on these other 2 contracts that we have, like deals and stuff. So
Okay,
we'll
good.
see.
Well, that sounds great. Please let us know if you need anything on those.
Thank you.
Of course. And Mr. Terry, how's everything going? How are the taxes looking this year? And how's everybody looking?
Oh, it's great. Just they're still dribbling in little by little, but yes, doing good. And I'm still waiting on those clients. The clock is ticking, and then they're gonna be ready, and I'll be ready for them.
Sure. Well, that sounds great, Terry. Whenever you're ready, just give me a holler, and we can tackle it together.
Oh, sure will. Thank you.
Okie doke. Well, overall, guys, thank you guys for hopping on. And just remember those key tips about extending and why we need to extend and how do we kind of overcome those extensions. And then obviously, if you have anything and everything, please give me a call. I'm always here to guide you through those deals. And then we will touch base with you all a little bit later this week.
Are we meeting on Thursdays?
Thursdays? No, we've decided to cancel the Thursdays. There really hasn't been a whole lot of time. So just keeping the Mondays, but if you need something personal or something different, just give me a call.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay. Bye, guys. Have a great day.